All right, and we are live. Welcome back to the almost nightly Firearms Expo. This is episode number 13. I would like to welcome my panelists tonight, DJ Planes.
Hey, how's it going? Yo, yo, yodel.
Not too bad. We've got a bunch of invites out there, so hopefully people will be trickling in here slowly. I'm sure Sandhill Shooter's still probably running, so we'll be probably having people trickle in as they wrap up, I'm sure. I did drop the link out in the text chat, so if anybody out there wants to jump in, please feel free. As I like to say, this is a conversation, so looking to get everybody's opinions. If you don't want to jump in, please utilize the text chat and let us know your opinions out there. And if there's anything that you'd like for me to make sure that I cover or something, please put at Gunsnbbq. That way it helps catch my attention with a little red box that YouTube puts my name in after that. So I am sure to see it. But looks like we have Mystic Guns out there, Gun Websites, and South Florida DCL. So evening to you all. All right. Well, DJ, did you get to do anything two-way today?
I absorbed some chats and caught up on some gun videos. That's about as 2A as I got today.
Very nice. So I pretty much did the same, just absorbed some chats until my phone died. One of the perks of having a 2-year-old watch Blue's Clues all day on your phone is it dies. So got that charged up, but a couple of the chats that I wanted to double back to and catch apparently were still uploading or something, so I couldn't catch them in replay today, so I'll have to catch up on those tomorrow. I know John Crump had one that I was really interested in, so I'll definitely have to watch that tomorrow. But other than that, I got to go out today, did some open carrying, and wore my Every Second Matters polo shirt. As usual, I have no interactions with anybody. Seems to be the story of my life. But yeah. So anything that you want to discuss here, DJ? I'm going to try and save my topic for when we get a couple more people in here, hopefully. So I'll leave the floor to you if you have anything.
Well, it's not specific to 2A, but it's certainly firearms related. I've been kind of catching up on stuff that's blown past me. I haven't been keeping up on, in particular, new handgun offerings for this year, and was kind of ignorant, focusing on other things when new models were released. Like the new Smith & Wesson pistol, and so yeah, I've been catching up on some of those, and actually asked a couple of friends of mine if they had any experience with the Keltec P50. That was on my radar from pre-press, but I was taking a look at that, and I was just kind of like, wow, if we're going to bang against $1,000 for that thing, has it got a better reputation than the average Keltec? You know anything about them?
The P50s, I have no idea. Haven't even heard of it.
Yeah, it's one of those that, as far as design goes, that's something that, Keltec, they're definitely a horse of another color there. They definitely are a different kind of breed in design. But that kind of, I don't know, the kind of futurism parts of some of their stuff. The only thing that the only Keltec I actually own, I've never had a problem with. It's a P3AT, little pocket carry, 380, and I've never had a problem with that. Picked it up, didn't look like much, didn't do much to clean it up. Just made sure everything was functional, and away she went.
Very nice, very nice.
So what kind of Keltec experience do you have?
Other than holding a couple of them at the local shop, none.
Uh-huh.
Never been anything that I was really interested in.
Well, the next one that I want to, if I was to leave out of here to a 24-hour LGS, if we had one, I would be there after the show, because I really want to see what the new Walther PDP is all about. Too much talk. I don't like to watch videos straight away. I'd like to go and, put one in my hand, as I said. and see if it's something for me before I go, deep dive and end up 6 hours later on YouTube thinking that I know everything about it and don't want it after all.
Definitely understandable.
Huh.
So for Pete's sake is out there asking how the Visca's shooting. And, well, sir, due to my vision, I cannot just drive to the range. I've got to get a ride to the range, which can prove to be very difficult at times. In the last year and a half, I've only gotten to go to the range twice. So it could be quite some time before I actually get to shoot the Visca. I do have ammo for it. I've got the 5 steel Bulgarian mags for it that came from Gun Mag Warehouse. So I'm hoping I can manage to find a ride to the range here in the coming month to put some lead down range with that thing, see how it runs, whatnot. Hopefully it doesn't blow up in my face. I know the forged trunnion and whatnot is something to be worried about, but we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, hopefully in the coming month I'll be able to get that and several other firearms out to the range that just haven't been able to be given any love yet. Unfortunately, I guess it's unfortunate, but at the same time it's kind of nice that most of my firearms are safe queens because of my lack of being able to just jump in a vehicle and go to the range at my own free will. So on the one hand, it stinks because I don't get to go shooting nearly as much as I would like to. On the other hand, it's not bad because my guns are staying in phenomenal shape, which, I mean, obviously they can retain in phenomenal shape by just basic maintenance after taking and shooting them. But one way to keep a new gun looking like a new gun is just never shoot it. So it's a double-edged sword there, I suppose. I'd definitely rather go shooting more often, though. But then again, also, I don't have to worry about the ridiculous ammo prices right now. So that's another plus side, I suppose.
So were you able to lay in plenty for going to have some fun or good range time with your AK?
What are you talking about?
The ammo.
What about
Were you
it?
able to get? Yeah, I just wondered if you were able to stock up on some of that when you picked it up.
Oh yeah, I got trying to think how many. I think about 280 rounds, if I remember correctly. I think so.
Yeah, like that stuff can go by so quickly these days. So easy to go through it. Yeah. So maybe as an alternative, I was also checking out like some cap and ball stuff, and because people are looking for different alternatives. I thought I would see what was out there that had blown past me. EMF, they're doing a LeMat. I had no idea that anybody was doing that or even thinking about it. That's one crazy storied revolver there.
Yep.
And I guess they're sitting in, right about $1,000, and they're in 44. Now, is 44 is the Army caliber. Navy is 36. Do I have that right?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah. Just I love the open, the open top, strapless. That's always really cool. And yeah, the odd angle of the grip as well. So I'm not sure if I don't even know anybody locally who carries those outside of maybe the Bass Pro or somebody like that. I don't know.
I assume they're probably being made by Pieta or Uberti, probably both of them.
Yeah, on that one, I don't know enough about EMF. Just don't know enough to speak to it. But I know like Tailors and Company, they're not Tailor is like a brand. It's made by one of those other manufacturers, is it not?
Yeah, what they actually do is, from what I understand, is they typically purchase their firearms raw. Like, I believe they make an 1873 Winchester, And what a lot of people don't realize is the 1873 Winchester that Tailors and Co. offers, they actually get from Winchester. So their 1873 is actually made by Winchester, but they get the raw gun bare. They do the all the finish work to it, finishing the stock, the bluing or whatever finish they decide to put on it, etc. And then they put their name on it.
Oh, that's good to know.
And I believe that's what they do with their cowboy guns from Uberti as well. I believe they actually get their 1911s from Rock Island, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong about that.
Okay. Yeah, and aren't most of those, if not all of them, they're in Italy?
What's that?
The manufacturers aren't most of them in Italy, or traditionally were Italian companies?
Just Uberti and Pieta that I know of.
Right on.
But
so
they're leading the way on majority of your black powder reproductions and single action army reproductions.
Mm-hmm. So what about like Dixie Gun Works or Navy Arms? Naval Arms? Yeah, I can't keep them all straight, man. I'm sorry.
I'm not familiar with those two. I've heard of Dixie Gun Works, but Naval Arms I've never heard of.
Yeah, I think that those names are right. They were just in articles and stuff that I ran into.
All right, so like I said before, I was gonna try. Oh, here we got somebody joining us now. We got Ozark. How are you, sir?
Not bad. How you doing?
Doing all right. So, did you get to do anything 2A today, sir?
Just concealed carry. Got to talk to some other folks about it. It seems like it's pretty nice. I also got to do some weapons training today, so that was pretty good. Nice. OC renewal.
OC renewal is always fun, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Got to go over use of force continuum again, and that was, well, it's still the same.
It's always a good refresher, though.
Yeah. But, well, I can't stay. I just wanted to stop in and say hi.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I wanted to just encourage everybody to have a good night, and hope you have a good stream. I'll hopefully see you in the comments.
All right. Well, thanks, Ozark.
You bet.
Go easy.
You bet.
All right. So the topic I have for tonight is how can we make firearms more common in public today? Do we just start strapping ARs to our backs and walking downtown and saying, "Hey, here I am, and I'm legal to do this, and this is what I'm doing"? Or do we? What I prefer, taking some smaller baby steps and trying to ease people into it. But I was doing some thinking today that there was a time when we actually taught firearms education in school, and you see these old black and white photos where there's a teacher, some instructor up at the front of the class holding a rifle or a shotgun, and they're receiving firearms education. And I would argue that at a point in time, something like that was normal. Obviously, I mean, if it's being taught in school, but I don't know. I'm obviously not from a time era of that time frame, so I can't say 100% if how it compared to today. But it seems like we've got a lot of people that are just running on raw emotion of being scared. They only hear what the media tells them, and I'm wondering, how is it that we can introduce them to firearms and make them less scared. And ultimate goal, not only less scared, but have that fear go away and maybe even move them into being a firearm owner. Anything, DJ?
Oh, oh, wow, positive theory straight off. Let me think. Yeah, I am not for everybody going armed into the streets. I think that's, that kind of, I'm not even want to say reactionary. I think that approach, regardless, is kind of extreme. And certainly if the times are extreme and you feel it calls for it, go right ahead. But I'm not seeing that, being any kind of necessary, at least not right now. So how to kind of normalize? I think that there are some good things to, bank forward in the fact that, for example, my home state, Nebraska, just became a constitutional, or not a constitutional state. I'm getting ahead of myself there. Became a 2A sanctuary state. And I see those, many other states joining the rolls there, constitutional carry. We got news out of Texas, some really great things are happening. So I think the opportunities are going to be there. And what we're seeing, I hope that some of as things move forward, gain the momentum and carry through to as many states, or perhaps, even up to, we're looking at soon, or not too far into the future, looking at, dumping the NFA. Things could get that good for us. I think that trying to stay on that positive side and waiting for people to kind of come to the issues, because states are kind of forcing the hands of people who are, not as interested in the conversation. Rights in the pursuit of them are more important right now than a lot of stuff. I like it.
So I hear people talking about getting rid of the NFA, which is the end goal. Get rid of the NFA, and that's like the cornerstone that all this is built on. But recently, more than ever, I feel like I hear people saying this is the most opportune time to get rid of the NFA. And I struggle to see how we can do that. At least I feel like when I do hear that, people are saying this is the most opportune time. We got to go at it right now. We're just going to wipe out the NFA. And my point here is I don't see how we're just going to wipe out the NFA. We have gone almost 100 years now, 90 years almost, since the enactment of the NFA. And there's been so much more gun control that has been enacted that we have to chip away at all that first before we get back down to the NFA. Maybe I'm wrong here. I don't know. But I feel like we have 90 years to get back through. And that's not to say that we're not winning battles right now. We are. And I think that's awesome. But yeah, I think it's going to take baby steps a little bit at a time, just as they did to us over the last 90 years to get us to this point. They didn't just march in and say, hey, we're going to take everything and tough crap. They've done it incrementally. And, you always hear compromise. Well, we've done a ton of compromise. And we rarely go on the offensive. When was the last time that you heard a politician that was like, hey, let's get rid of the NFA? And I'm not talking about Joe Jorgensen and the Libertarian Party this year. That's awesome that they ran on that. But if you listen to their party convention or whatever the heck it was called, you'd hear their vice president jokingly say, oh, don't worry about saying that swear word or whatever the heck they said while they're doing like a little podcast stream. He's like, you're talking to the party that's running on, getting rid of the NFA like it's some joke. Like, really, this is your platform that you're running on, and you're mocking it. How if you're not going to take it seriously, why the hell is anybody else?
I'm not against anything that you said, man. I'm right there along with you, and I want to make sure that you understand. I'm not a Pollyanna. I'm not trying to, just like blow sunshine up everybody. It's more like I'm trying to be, I guess, trying to be optimistic, and maybe that, pushing the, let's stay optimistic about things so that we don't have to suffer from these digressions and, the bickering kind of stuff that goes on, because it's just unnecessary. I guess, I'm always one who wants to have, though some people don't like me to use the words or the concept even, a united front. I mean, I'm all about divergent voices. I'm all about getting to the same goals by different paths, but I just don't mind bringing everybody to the same, if not the same page, like I don't know, like a general playbook or something like that. We can all have our different views, but that doesn't mean that we can't set our sights on some sort of end goal, or at least one that we find mutually agreeable. So in what you're talking about, what would be your end goal? We'll say we just take NFA off the table for the time being.
Oh, no, I wouldn't say take the NFA off the table. I mean, that's the end goal.
Okay, cool.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. That's the end goal. I just feel like recently I've heard people saying it more like this is the time to strike. We're deliver that knockout punch and just get rid of it. It's going to be gone. And I don't hear anybody saying this is how we're going to deliver that knockout punch, because I don't think there is a knockout punch, because again, I think we have to chip away at everything that has been done over the last 90 years.
You did say, you said baby steps a couple of times. And I think, kind of unintentionally, man, like what occurs to me there are a lot of people who just don't want to say mother may I. They're not satisfied with the baby steps. And it's like, so maybe, let's maybe jump from the other end. Instead of the end goal, what would be, what do you think would be like the top 3 things to examine as the first steps? Like, how do we get to that eventual NFA? How do we normalize?
Honestly, I like what's happening right now. We have a ton of states that are becoming constitutional carry. Mm-hmm. And I think that is a huge step in normalization, because that means we've got states saying, hey, our citizens are not the problem. Our citizens are law-abiding people, at least the solid majority of them. The ones who are troublemakers we'll deal with. And we got Texas will be the 21st state to get constitutional carry if it passes the Texas Senate and gets signed in. I mean, that's almost half of the country. That's freaking awesome. So I would love to see more states going down that route. I feel like eventually, if enough states had constitutional carry, it would be really tough to make the argument against national reciprocity. So even if there were states such as New York or Illinois, California, et cetera, that were like, oh, well, we're never going to have constitutional carry. Our citizens can suck it. Tough crap. 40 out of 50 states have constitutional carry, and it's not the Wild West, and all these bad things that you guys say are going to happen aren't happening. So then we could maybe push for national reciprocity. I hope it wouldn't take 40 out of 50 states.
Right.
But, that's a number I just threw out there. So
for sure.
But I think that would be an awesome step. And again, that's something that would be baby steps. In a sense, I don't even think it's baby steps. I mean, it's just taking steps, because each time another state signs on to that idea, that's a big step in the right direction. I was actually looking at states that have constitutional carry compared to states that don't. And there's not a huge difference in one of the arguments I've heard against constitutional carry is that, oh, we're going to lose our revenue for our concealed handgun licenses. If people don't have to get that to carry concealed, they're not going to get it anymore. We're going to lose all that revenue. there is not a big difference in percentage-wise if you go look at the USCCA website for their concealed carry reciprocity map. And on there, they actually give the state's population and the number of concealed handgun licenses that are issued, and they give a percentage of how many people have a concealed handgun license in each state. And if you look at states that have constitutional carry compared to states that do not, there is not a big difference, 1-2%, and that's plus or minus either way. So the idea that these states are going to lose their revenue is complete BS. So, and again, I think if we had enough states do it, that's like when you hear people talking about the legalization of marijuana. They're talking about, oh, we got 17 states. It's only a matter of time until, it's recognized federally. Well, we got 20 states, soon to be 21, hopefully, that say, hey, you don't need any sort of permit to carry a handgun or firearm here. It's constitutional. So
for real, I'm absolutely following you, and certainly, one of the things that occurs to me is the turning the tide thing. Like, how many states turn a tide on a national level? And, in that end game, though, I don't think it's not going to be a unanimous thing. At least I don't think so, because it's not uncommon for states, to hold out, on some interesting things where, no, we're going to do it this way. And that's been cool, and I think that it should be. I'm absolutely with the coolness of a state deciding to do things the way that they want to do it. And so I'm thinking about things like that affected me being in the Midwest when a motorcycle helmet law became a national thing, and the government decided to tie it to transportation funds. You want your interstates maintained, you're going to put a helmet on the head of every motorcyclist in your state. Iowa held out. They're right across the river. As a Nebraska writer, I used to like to go over and enjoy the freedoms in Iowa. It was great to just roll across the river, pop the helmet off, and, take my chances, whatever, I'm not saying it was the best thing to do. I'm going to wear a lid now that I'm a little bit older, but having the opportunity to go exercise a right that was forbidden in my state, just, that nearby. Yeah, I think it's important that people remember that the integrity of their state and their citizenry, you got to base it on your votes, guys, but you can stand out in the crowd. America's kind of like that. And I like it.
What's G saying here?
Let's see. Yeah, okay. Well, not sure about that. Okay, one, evaluate. So these are ideas that he has, I guess. Number one, evaluate your position that guns aren't universally known about or normalized because, in his opinion, they are more normal than in my lifetime. Maybe not like in the 1930s, but the 1930s was different. Okay, so yeah, taking into perspective the difference between eras and ages and generations, gonna have to do that. Two, have fun with guns and share that. More and more folks see and understand from others off the internet. Good point. Shooting sports, that's fun. Some people don't want to watch bowling. Some people don't want to watch golf. A lot of people don't want to watch firearm sports, shooting sports. I do. I used to love the biathlon, the Olympic shooting sports. And I think that's another area that's got so much room to grow. And I'm encouraged by, again, my home state. We've got a good collegiate program going in Lincoln. And there are more members of the team. They're going to more competitions. They're seeing, better national rankings. And I did a little bit of reading about that. It would have been their last competitive season. So I'm not current on that information, but it's encouraging. G has a third point. Let's see, just to get that, and then we'll go back to Ozark was next in line there. Number 3, understand we have had, for education, Appleseed since 2006, Faster saves lives since 2013, KidSafe since 2015, and Reverse Writers, since 2015. He goes on to say that once you recognize we have many avenues to youth gun education, how can you be pessimistic? It's a good point. I don't think a lot of people are thinking about that, and tonight they certainly are. 4.
I don't mean to sound pessimistic about that if that's the way I came off. I was just making the point that it's not something that's readily available in public schools anymore. I don't know about private schools because I never went to a private school, but in general, it seems in the school setting, it's a taboo issue. You've got kindergartners that are being expelled and suspended and whatnot because they ate their Pop-Tart into the shape of a gun. So I agree with G. Yeah, we have different avenues for education of children, which is great. But I guess where I was going with the mentioning of not having firearms in schools, I feel like that's possibly when the normalization went away, because people weren't introduced at a young age a lot of times to firearms. So it's something that wasn't normal to them. So like I said, if I did sound pessimistic there, I do apologize, because that was not the meaning behind it. And also, how would one find out about these groups?
Well, to somebody like G,
obviously we could Google them, things like that, if you really wanted to seek them out. And the closest thing that I can think of to any firearms education that children are getting, at least in my area, typically is just hunter safety education. Are these groups potentially reaching out to game commissions in different states that are giving hunter safety education? Because I've seen a lot of hunter safety education courses where the parents will take it with their children just to have that little refresher, because a lot of times it's been 20, 30 years since they taken that course. So they want that course. And perhaps if these groups were just reaching out to the game commission saying, hey, here's some literature for firearms education and making things safer with children, could you hand this out at each one of your events? That would definitely proliferate the amount of eyes seeing that they're out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that encouraging intergenerational interaction with firearms and the values, behind them, and of your family unit or your social group, that's some really important stuff. A lot of us didn't have grandparents or uncles, aunts and folks that would, that would introduce. I'm going to say me. That introduced me to shooting. It was something that I came upon in one of the ways at least that you talked about, hunter safety. I came to hunter safety through the Boy Scouts. So I feel like I had a pretty solid, introduction. And certainly as far as the safety aspects went, all the handling, we had a wonderful, like graduation experience with a local guy who just had, wow, we had so much fun that day. So many firearms, so many calibers. And, but from there, it was up to me. And I don't, we're also talking about the intergenerational thing. I don't have children. So you have the opportunity to pass on your family traditions, your existing family's traditions, your person, your unit's traditions, and the knowledge and those experiences. And other people do have to go out there and look. But it was actually on a daily gun show, maybe or way more than a year ago, where I was reminded that there was a thing that Eddie Eagle even existed. Like, if I had known, I had forgotten. So I had no idea that there was that program out there. And I was like, okay, let me check that out. And I did. And I was really encouraged by that. I kind of didn't want it to be this fake cartoony eagle kind of thing. I think that you give them, a Barney in a suit and it's going to turn into, a parody of itself eventually, or at least in the age of memes, it's a guarantee. But that aside, yeah, having something in schools definitely helps to normalize, it helps with that normative approach. One of the things that I think, I'll stop there for a second. What do you think?
I think let's hit number 4.
You got it. G-Webs wants to say that, so you ignored these 3 points to address the how do we change minds about guns and go all pessimistic about the removal of the NFA because it hasn't already been done. Can't keep up. Yeah, and so I'm not sure, but in the break comment there between 3 and 4, that what he was saying was that maybe we were being pessimistic specifically. I think he might have been saying, how can we be pessimistic? How can we not be optimistic? Because with all of those things with the things he said, points 1 through 3, we should have a much cheerier disposition. We should be optimistic about this. How could we doomsay anything? And I don't think really that we were, but I have to admit, for some of these things, I'm naive, and I was not thinking about this before we started the show, so I'm shooting from the hip. Absolutely. But then, so it'd be great, G. I mean, if he was able, it'd be great for G to jump on. Okay, that is plunging on. That is fake news. How long is that going to get regurgitated over and over this week? Half those instructors were never contacted. Most are for constitutional carry. Oh, is that like the Texas thing?
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure what I missed before that, but yeah, because I remember Crump reporting on it first. I shouldn't say first. That's where I first heard it, and I believe he later actually made a retraction that he was given bad information.
Okay. Well, we'll put a stop to that right there. So that's one that I missed today. I was doing other things at that time.
In fact, I heard one of the instructors that was had either supposedly signed or whatever it was had actually been able to been quoted 4 separate times that, yeah, this is going to hurt my business, but in the terms of 2A, I'm all for it. And supposedly this person still signed that, oh yeah, I'm 100% against this, which, like I said, from what I understand, you can find 4 separate instances where they're like, yeah, it's going to hurt me, but I'm for it. So by the sounds of it, there is some shady stuff going on, and like G-Web said, that is fake.
Yeah, no doubt. And if we got to remember all the time not to rush to judgment. And speaking of rushing, I should have parsed through and rushed a couple of comments past that, because G-Webs goes on to say, Crump called them, made a video. People still go off the headline and assume. And that's exactly what happened, man. Gun Website says he talked about that on his weekly wrap-up that you quirked last week. Just saying. All right, good natured jibe and jab there. I want to double back real quick. I hope that that's cool with you. I'm going to double back because I stranded that Ozark Yeoman comment. I want to make sure that we get him in, because he jumped in, had to jump out. He said there's been a real awakening, though, in the last few decades. We need to educate and keep that going. Yeah, absolutely. I like the sunny side of the street for sure. Clover Tack saying setting up dominoes is much different than making them fall. Just a thought, and he's right.
Yep.
Today I've had the opportunity to offer a piece of wisdom that I picked up, and it's that it takes it's all the raindrops together make the flood, and every raindrop is therefore important to the overall goal. Even though we're thinking about floods as being catastrophic things, but what if it's one that is a cleansing kind of thing? And if we have, if we go ahead and gather those raindrops, I'm not saying, I'm not saying that you have to go out there and just crazy try to catch, all the raindrops in a glass. You're never going to get it done. But I've been trying to think about that. And I think that's, one of the things that Clover's touching on there, where, it really will take a lot of drops to create that flood that creates that tide that turns it, anything that's important to us and that we feel is not right or needs to be addressed. Another benefit of being Americans, y'all. Good to go there. And so picking up from that with Clover, thanks for that. Gun Websites goes on. It can be though. So I need to wrap back to what he was saying before, so it makes sense. I talked about that. No, got to go ahead. Sorry. It can be though. So in my opinion, can look at how things have been, how things are, or how you'd like them to be. And change is possible. Just work for it. Absolutely. Leaning into the work. Another great thing I picked up somewhere. She goes on to say, for what it's worth, I meet people all the time who are adults who get into firearms as older adults, which is totally new to him, at least. So the idea that kids need to know about guns in order for them to care. So kids need, it makes sense. But he goes on to suggest that for them to care, it is not a certainty. Okay, now I'm completely tracking. R4 Mississippi Thunder's dropped in. How you doing, man? Gun Snob, same thing. He says, what's up instead of yo?
Howdy, yo.
Yo. And G-Web's going, man, I like this. We're in cycles. I am sure we will see a respect for tradition again become an aspect of modern life. Absolutely right. That transfer of the traditions and the wisdoms of previous generations is something that sometimes technology drives us away from. And I'm really fond of my agricultural analogies, guys. I'll lay off it. I've been on home state Nebraska a little bit too much tonight already, but when I see snow in the forecast across the country, that means something different in an agricultural state. It means something to the kind of people who are, forced almost into some of the older traditions. You're not watching a clock on a farm. You're watching the season. You're watching the day, the weather patterns. Everything is more prescient during your high season, during the time where you got to make hay while the sun shines. Well, when it dims like that here, it's a bit like that happening in any other state. And I think part of the rebound that G was talking about in older people coming to it when they're older, we all know Gizzard Gary. He's a perfect example. If I'm correct, he came to his appreciation for firearms in the present day, not through what he experienced when he was a kid, but because his daughter, I believe, wanted to have a personal protection firearm. And so he's apparently a doting father. I believe they have, lunch once a week when they are able. And so he, dove into it like a father would. Well, let's check this out. Let's go to a range. Let's, put these in our hands and see if, what feels good and what we want to put some money behind. And then he caught the bug. He wasn't looking to go do that, but all of a sudden, check that guy out. He's hitting, he's down at Wanamaker. He's seeing everybody. He's having a good time. He's throwing his shorts, his YouTube shorts out there again. He hosts those chats. I mean, would that guy be in those things if he hadn't come to it late? We should never discourage anybody. And that's another thing that I know Gary is fond of. And then I'll step off, praising that guy tonight because he is a great cat. But that's it. He is not fond of people who talk trash about other people's firearms. Maybe talk about their safety, but you don't talk about the cut of their jib. You don't talk about their Keltec or their whatever, not the gun du jour, the boutique, the one you drop $2,000 on, your barbecue gun. Run what you brung. I like that guy.
Yep. So Clover's saying that the idea that Texas law enforcement is against constitutional carry is bogus, which with everything I've heard, I completely agree. By the sounds of it, it's mainly just Dallas PD, which I could really care less what the police chief of Dallas PD thinks. I really don't care what any police chiefs think because police chiefs are appointed. They are not elected. They are only beholden to the city council that put them in place. That's actually why I think all municipal police should be done away with. Municipalities that need extra policing from their county sheriff can, tax their citizens appropriately through their local taxes, just because they're paying for municipal police as it is. So if they did away with that and just tax their people as they are and pay the county for whatever the county's offering them for policing and have everything run through the sheriff, I think that would be the best way because the sheriff's an elected official. So if there's something going on that you don't agree with and you don't like what the choices of that sheriff's making, well, when election time comes around, you have a say in it and you can get rid of them. With a police chief, you don't have a say in that. Yeah, you could try and take care of it at your city council level, but is the city council that you elect in really going to be that worried about the police chief? Maybe, but it's a long way to go around to get rid of one person.
Okay, I got to get a little nostalgic here for a second because I want to go ahead with what you're saying, but I got to go down. All right, I'll be quick. Roscoe P. Coltrane, bro. Okay, you got a sheriff. I'm sorry to use this example. I'm nostalgic right now. Okay, you got a sheriff. He's a crooked sheriff. Are the checks and balances in your state, for that county? Are we looking at state patrol there in order to keep the Fed, any Fed interest out? Is it state patrols the checks and balances there for sheriffs? Because they don't get along on the roadside.
If you got a crooked sheriff, again, that's why you have the ability to elect. Okay,
what about midterm? And you got a problem.
You got to wait till either their term is up, or if it's that bad, I'm sure that you can get a local petition going and try and have them removed and somebody else put in place in the interim.
Okay. I don't pretend to, be educated on LEO stuff. Just more of a curiosity there.
But again, I mean, if you got a crooked police chief, what are you going to do about that?
Same gig. Yeah, you look for the county, and I guess I was assuming by extension then. I was presuming that by extension you go from county to state and whatever else. Gunsnob saying that the news in Oklahoma, that must be local news, talked with some CCW instructors that were there after constitutional carry passed, and they said that they were busier than before. People were taking the courses just for the info and not for it, ending up getting their license.
I like that. I didn't even think about that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I always thought about the aspect of, people are getting to carry in their home state where they don't have to worry about paying that, 20 or whatever the fee is to get their concealed handgun license. And then they get the taste of it because they're doing constitutional carry in their state, but they're like, oh, well, Texas, for example, say they started doing it in Texas, and they're like, oh, well, I want to go to Oklahoma now. Well, now they're going to have a concealed handgun license, or, they want to go to Tennessee or whatever the crap. They're going to have to still have that concealed handgun license. So I haven't looked into it directly yet, but I did hear that states that got constitutional carry either saw their concealed handgun license applications stay the same or increase a small amount.
For sure, that's a great trend to notice and to foster.
And before we keep going on, I would like to welcome Bacon and Chief Woods to the panel. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I honestly just jumped in late here, and I barely know what you're talking about. I'm thinking it's the Texas carry thing, but I don't really have a lot to add because I've been super busy for the last 3 days in work stuff. So that's what the price you pay for big bucks.
That's all right.
I think all those guys should jump in here.
I think so too.
I think that would be amazing because that's an awful lot of reading.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm probably like 20 minutes behind in the comments right now.
5 minutes ago, we were 10 minutes behind the curve. That's when we're starting to catch up on G's comment.
There's also tons of times where I'm doing something else, like watching the TV show while I'm watching this. So I'm not hating on anybody. I'm just like, it'd be better if they could jump in here.
I think it'd be more about it. Be better in general because, well, I'm blind, and if I'm going to read all this, it's going to take me all night and then some. That's why I have DJ playing narrator for me right now. And they're all making terrific points, and we could have a great conversation. So I have dropped the link out there several times, and I think everybody but Gunsnob has a link in their email because I don't have Gunsnob's email apparently. Hey, we got Gizzard Gary out there. Evening, sir.
Yeah, there's a G-Web's actually had a nice follow-up to what we are just talking about and what you talked about for a second there. He says to Gunsnob that that's what he remembers seeing often, articles like, who would have thought no permit equals more interest in training? It's absolutely. Clovertax saying that his point was sort of that every infringement hinges on an infringement before it in a way. So once we can get one to fall, the rest will follow suit. they have to. Just got to push the right domino. Yep, absolutely. Find it, identify it, push it. Our problem is that we all have a different idea of which domino we should push and when. Yep.
Yeah, but his, I believe, going back to the NFA idea of, this is the perfect time to strike, which I, brought up earlier, where people are saying that, but I don't hear anybody ever saying this is how we attack it and, deliver that knockout blow to it, which, I mean, it'd be amazing if somebody had that solution. I'm not meaning to sound like I'm knocking anybody that's sitting there saying, hey, this is the perfect time to strike and take down the NFA. That's not the case at all, because I don't have any better ideas myself. I just think, like I said, that we're 90 years past the NFA, and that's 90 years of gun control that we've got to battle back against. But I do understand what Clover's saying there with the dominoes, and if we can find the right domino in the NFA to knock over, then everything else that's been built over that 90 years topples also, which would be phenomenal. I guess the real question is, where's that domino? What is that domino?
Yeah, this is more towards the conclusion, the crescendo of that domino fall. But I'm going to pick up where G-Webs goes next. And he says, as for the NFA being removed, braces, bump stocks, internet, braces, bump stocks, 12-gauge firearms, suppressors, AR-15 pistols, 80%, 3D print, all will shatter the ability to regulate, and alternative options will get explored. Yes, as in the words of the great Bacon in Chief, yes, that. He goes on to say, only FUDs lay dominoes. You need a video game analogy to get with the kids. Say, it's like when the PacMan eats a cherry or something, and then they will understand. Gee, I don't think that whiz kids, today's teenage whiz kids are going to be video gaming on classic Pac, but I like that analogy, man. Maybe we need to step it up. I don't know, World of Warcraft, or no, they play Minecraft, don't they? What do they play over on those crazy game servers?
I have no idea, but you'd actually be surprised at how many kids are playing Pac-Man still. It's very popular.
For real, that's encouraging. I like that.
You can get it on your cell phone now, so.
Oh yeah, the classics. Absolutely. Clover says that only FUDs play Pac-Man now.
So, in looking at that list, is suppressors the one that's the first one to go after? Because I can make a case that, the Hearing Protection Act, it's already been written.
Thank you.
It will keep bunnies from being scared, and we could sell it to a lot of people that if you're out hunting, you're not going to make as much noise. It's a question, not a comment. What do you guys think?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full.
I think it would be a good place to look.
Ready to go.
And I think there's a strong argument to be made, because aren't there several European countries that, if you're going to hunt, require the use of a suppressor?
You are correct. Yep.
So everybody that wants to scream, oh, let's be like Europe or like Australia or any crap like that, well, here we go. Let's be like Europe. Make suppressors legal. But then again, I'm talking out my ass a little bit there, because I'm not 100% sure what they've got to do to, get that suppressor. Is it worse than what we have to do here? I don't know.
I think they can just buy it, but I know in England you have to go through a whole bunch of rigmarole just to get a shotgun.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And
then you can put the suppressor on a shotgun for sure. But or a rifle, they got to do a whole bunch of stuff in order to even have that rifle. And you only have so many. You can't just buy as many as you want. But I do not know the rules.
That was part of a conversation we were talking about the value, or the price assigned for tax stamps, and I propped that, knock it down to 99 cents. At one time it was supposed to be cost prohibitive. That's one of the things. It's part of gun control is against people who don't have money, and that's a way to normalize. You want to, I think barbecue. There's a way to normalize. Bring down stuff like that first. Make the argument be less about what it was generations ago when we're talking about Chicago typewriters, Al Capone, and the 18th Amendment or whatever. It's different. I'm not saying it's worse, better, or whatever. Just different. Modern times, modern actions, modern considerations. Let's go. Gunsnbbq's super lucky. He says that no Oklahoma honors your rights. No matter which state you live in, you can carry here without a license. I guess the only catch is that you actually have to live inside the borders of Oklahoma, or at least be passing through. Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah, you have to be passing through. Ohio's almost like that. Ohio recognizes all 50 states concealed carry licenses, which is pretty nice. But again, it's the fact that you have to have the concealed carry license in the first place.
South Florida DCL is giving us a moral quandary that I'm not ready to address, but he's saying, what if the price of salt in Bangkok was the same price in Bangor? So it's that Thai East Coast connection.
I'm not familiar with that reference. Sorry.
It has to do with the taxes.
Gotcha.
Oh, straight. Okay.
Right. We pay exponentially more for salt than other places on Earth.
Oh. All right.
Well, we pay a lot for things compared to the rest of the world in general. For example, my uncle's motorcycle got blown over in his driveway the one day because of the wind. It was a sport bike, a lot of plastic on it, a lot of plastic damage. And the insurance was going to total it. And he's like, so how much can I buy it back for? Because all it was plastic damage. And they're like, you really don't want it total? He's like, no, it's a great bike. So they cut him a check for it being just shy of being totaled. And he went and started shopping online in websites that are over in the UK, India, stuff like that, and eventually found the parts that he needed for a quarter of the price of what they were selling here in the US. And I've actually read, just being such a motorcycle guy, a lot of things on motorcycles and costs and all that. And the US market is charged the way it is because they know they can. And I feel like that's probably a lot of what we pay today is just because foreign goods know, hey, we can charge this to the US market, so we're going to. A new sport bike here might be 20 grand. If you were to go to India or another country like that and buy that same bike, which a lot of countries wouldn't even allow those, but if you could, I mean, like I said, if it was 20 grand here in American dollars there, it'd be 4, 5, 6 grand. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Indeed it is. Gunsnob makes a play for another NFA item here. He's talking about the short barrel versions of both shotguns and rifles, and goes on to say they should be the first to go because they got left on the NFA on accident when they took handguns off the original bill.
And there's no evidence that anybody really, I mean, there's in one of movies, but there's no evidence that people usually actually use short barrel shotguns for fucking crime ever. There's almost nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For the last 70 years. It does happen. You can find anecdotal data on just about anything when you have 300 million people. But on average, not at all.
Well, in Woods, don't you find pretty consistently that once you start to do those deep dive, digs on stats and stuff like that, when you pull stuff together and you've made me aware of things, it's like you can almost never get the real deal results to reflect what the common opinion is.
Yeah, for sure. They've been, I mean, the whole NFA was even based on a perceived danger, not an actual danger, just a perceived danger. The gangsters and all them were going to use all these bad guns to kill everybody. And then so they had outlawed a whole bunch of them. It was a perceived danger. It wasn't an actual danger. But we still do that. We have perceived danger, not actual danger. I mean, any of the AR bans. There's last year it was 2020, maybe 2019, 365 all rifles. Murders. That's it for the whole country. But and of all rifles, including ARs, but they have this perception that ARs are the most evil thing ever, and everybody's going to die, and that's just what's out there, and we have to keep fighting that too. But the data and what the perceptions are very different things. You're more
Totally.
likely by a rock.
Yeah, well, and I understand. You mentioned a rock. I understand that wanting to create a stark difference in people, in the conversation or people's perceptions. People go to like knives, and knives are a big thing. In this last year, people, we see in the firearms community, everybody's switching over to knives because we have a problem with ammunition and firearm supplies in some areas. And so, but then they're talking about, okay, well, in Europe, okay, this is happening in France, this is happening in the UK, and this is happening in states. And I've heard the conversation about other means of arming yourselves. And I don't think a lot of people think about keeping and bearing applying to edge weapons. It absolutely does. So, when we were talking about how do we normalize, what do you guys think about the idea? Tell us in the text chat what you think as well. What would be a way to maybe link those two things together? We've mentioned reciprocity maps. Well, by God, we've got them for both. What if we start to link those things together and get legislation kind of pitched towards? I'm not suggesting this ultimately. I'm just saying I'm throwing it out there. What do you think? Is there a parallel there that we can draw in to help the normalization aspect?
Sorry, I was reading Clover's comment.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. He thinks it's Clover speaking to him. He thinks the suppressors are a good start. So, we're all around that. And I'm all about the Hearing Protection Act.
He makes a great point that there's actually a safety device.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I would want that. I mean, I want all of them to be gone, but like when we were talking about which one we want to go after first, and I do understand G-Webs that you go after all of them all the time, but also you could go after one at a time. So I don't have the answer to that. I could see both sides of that.
Yeah, and you don't have to go against, go after all the low hanging fruit either. You can target one that, that would be the most effective, and have the greatest ripple effect throughout it instead of going after all the low hanging fruit and that, the overexertion of people's patience and, their nerves about things. Slow and steady wins the ratio, pioneer steps, 1 foot in front of the other and all.
So I'd also like to go back to what Gunsnbbq said earlier about short barrel shotguns, short barrel rifles. And, there's all this talk that they might try and put AR pistols, AK pistols, etc., on the NFA. And while I don't think that's good, I think in the long run it's going to give us a leg to stand on as to getting SBRs and SBSs off the NFA, because we're going to be able to go back and say, really, were these that big of an issue? We can point out, 2, maybe 3 crimes over how long of a period of time that these were used. And now they're no longer considered pistols. They're considered a short-barreled rifle. So that would lend itself to saying, yeah, short-barreled rifles aren't a problem. So I definitely don't want to see AR pistols, AK pistols, etc., become an NFA item and be considered SBRs. However, I do see it being able to work in our favor if it did happen.
Well, how long does it take to get anything back from those guys on the tax stamp now? Months, sometimes years.
Last I heard, it's upwards of 15 months.
Yep.
So you add in 2 million new applicants. That's just going to overwhelm the system.
Yep.
It might possibly break the system, or it's a really good way for them to say, nah, we don't really have to answer. So we've just regulated not to have to do anything. So I could see a big major drawback on that. That it would be if they would just wait forever and never get back to you.
Isn't their office duty bound, however, to staff it to the needs required by the applications? I mean, I understand government shutdowns are slowing down offices, sending people home.
It took a year before the COVID and all that.
Yeah.
Well, so what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, I was just wondering if there wasn't some provision, because there are in some governmental offices that regardless of the, what's going on the outside, they must be staffed. And I just wondered if there was some connection there. I don't know. I would hope so. Apparently not. Gunsnob again. You know, he's all Oklahoma. I'm all Nebraska. We're back in the Barry Switzer, Tom Osborne days. Let's go. If you are legal to own a gun in Oklahoma and are 21, you can legally carry no matter if you live in Hawaii or Alaska or even Nebraska while you're there. Good to know. Hashtag Atoka, Oklahoma. I'm not going back. Florida and Texas.
Idaho's like that. Idaho doesn't care. If you're over 18, they're like, we're Idaho. We don't give a piss.
Yeah, I think Maine. Yeah, there's some northeastern states I think they're like that too. Do you know barbecue states that are like that up there?
What's that?
Ones where it doesn't matter what your actual state of residency is. If you're legal to carry in that state, you're legal to pass through, no problem.
Vermont, I believe, was actually the original state for constitutional carry. So you got Vermont, Ohio. Those are the only ones I'm aware of, though, up in the Northeast.
Okay. Sorry, everybody in Maine.
West Virginia is also constitutional carry, so South Florida DCL, I'm not sure what you're saying here, bud, because Pennsylvania has open carry, and I do it all the time without issue.
So does Nebraska, but I can't do it in Lincoln or Omaha. Gizzard Gary saying just about every out-of-state trip he has taken in the past 3 years has either taken him in or through Oklahoma. Gary, run some other direction, buddy. Yesterday's pomade checking in. Hey, what's going on?
Howdy, pomade.
Mm-hmm. OK2A, says the gun snob, the acronym Oklahoma Second Amendment something maybe, is trying to get our constitutional carry fixed to allow anyone over 18 to carry right now. You can only carry between 18 and 21 if you're in the military. Yeah, any distinctions that are made between the ages of 18 and 21, I think we're kind of past that whole regionalism or even states' rights things or county rights, you know, dry counties and stuff like that. If you're 18, you know, come on. You get the full pull. You're an adult.
South Florida DCL. I'm gonna have to agree with you or disagree with you again, sir. Like I said, up in here, PA, I open carry all the time. In fact, I was just open carrying down in Pittsburgh at the beginning of the month, and I figured if I was going to have any issues, that would be one of the places, and no issue at all.
Gotcha. And though he was speaking about a couple of states there, he does go on to say right away, open carry without being harassed by the local PD. Now, I guess he's got some experiences in those states. You don't have it. You just did Pittsburgh, you know, so it's going to, you know.
But his comment was Florida and Texas are the only places that you can do that, and that's not the case, and that's bad information.
Gotcha. Gun Snob might be tossing a casual jibe over at his buddy, saying, you haven't been very many places because plenty of places won't harass you for open. Oh, no, it's not Gary. Sorry, I'm going to start over. You haven't been very many places because plenty of places won't harass you for open carry, and it's actually legal here. Without the stipulation, you must be fishing or hunting like Florida. Wow, okay. Interstate rivalries all the way down to the Seminoles and the Hurricanes. Gotcha. Football flashbacks. Gizzard Gary's going to bed. Check you later, man.
See you guys.
Let's see. We're catching up. We're 11. We're still 7 minutes behind barbecue. Do you want to crash through these comments, see what you want to pick up on?
We don't have to read them all. We're just looking for the important stuff.
Yeah.
Just say the ones where people are conversing back and forth. We don't need to read those.
Yeah.
So Gunsnbbq said that Form 1 comes back in 30 to 60 days, but then right after that, yesterday said that his last stamp took 13 months. So are those different forms? I'm not really hip on all what I know. There's different forms for different things.
I believe Form 1 is for suppressors. Now, I don't know if the waiting period is different for different forms. If it's a different time period for suppressors compared to SBRs, for example. I just know that when I've talked to anybody about the SBR stamp, there's a local shop that actually helps people go through that whole process. And last time I spoke to them, they said it was taking about 15 months to get everything back. But as far as suppressors go, if that's a different process at all, perhaps that is quicker, but I can't say for sure.
So for the sake of argument, which one would AR and AK pistols be? Is it the 1 or the 4?
1. Well, they could be each. As Clover's pointing out in the conversation, I've caught up. We're caught up with the comments now. Clover's saying that Form 1 is for building suppressor or other NFA items, so that would be SBRs and SBSs, right? And then a couple more down. Form 4 is the transfer from Form for an NFA item that has already been built. So pre-ban or whatever. That's I guess Form 4, or maybe it doesn't have to be pre-ban. It's just anything that's being built. And Gunsnob says Form 1 is what he's talking about. Form 3 is a dealer to dealer with NFA transfer. So we got 1, 3s, and 4s. Anybody want to check in on number 2?
I'm still confused on which one. If I already owned an AR pistol and I had to register it, which I would never do, but is that 1 or 4?
Yeah, I do believe it's a 1.
Because Clover's saying it's a gun that's already been built.
That's the 4.
I already have it.
Yeah, you know. Okay, we got plenty of guys out there who know what it is. We just need to all zero in on what it is to answer Woods' question. So we're talking AR, AK. We're talking short barreling it. Is that a Form 1? Yes, no. And now we know that Form 2 is manufacturer or import. And he wants to know the question: which form for short barrel rifle, pistol?
It's already built. I already own it.
Already built. That Form 42 must be the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
And I just thought of something else.
If you're doing it, you're doing it yourself, just a Form 1, says Clover.
If AR pistols and AK pistols are so dangerous that they need to go on the NFA, and NFA items are so dangerous that you got to pay the special tax stamp and go through all the rigmarole that you have to do with that, why is it that the last talks of doing away with AR pistols and AK pistols and whatnot, that they were willing to do an amnesty? So there's like, yep, you can just do it for free. It's a super dangerous item that we want to regulate constantly, but we're just going to look the other way on this one. Really?
Okay, G-Web's tossing his hat into the ring. We're talking about forms still, guys. Regular people can only do 2 things for all NFA items: Form 1, build, or Form 4, transfer. So that applies to SBR, cans, SBS, most of it, not a separate form for each kind of NFA. Thank you for that. And Clover Tack, piggybacking here with, and right now, Form 1 stuff is coming back super quick, like 4 to 6 weeks.
Really?
Especially if you e-file.
Oh, snap. I might just have to go do a Form 1 now, because I've been wanting to do an SBR for a while. And one of the reasons I haven't is just because I don't want to sit on the crap for friggin' 15 months while I'm waiting for it to come back. So I might have to go do a Form 1 now.
Do it. And tell us all about it. Make the videos.
No, that's been done.
Well, it's not like your version wouldn't be worthwhile. And say, at some point it'd be cool. We kind of hit Form 1s, the forms, I guess I should have said. It'd be cool to hit up all the different FFL types. I don't see that discussed too often. And there's a lot of confusion about that. I got a buddy with an SOT, and, people are like, oh, well, who can do this? Who can do that? And whatever. And I just get a hold of him. It'd be cool to have a conversation about that at some point. Like all the Title II stuff. Yeah.
Howdy, Clover. How you doing, sir?
Yeah. Yeah, all that forms and FFL classifications, it all gets tough at some time. But G's absolutely right. I mean, as far as consumer side of things, I guess, go, Form 1 and Form 4, when you're talking NFA, that's the only ones really you need to be aware of. But so the Form 3 comes into play. So let's say you go down your local gun shop, has the proper licensing to sell suppressors, and you go down and you buy one where, I don't know, you go to Silencer Shop, pick one, any suppressor brand. Well, then what they do is they turn around and they file a Form 3 to get it from wherever it's at to them, so that then you can take possession from them. Makes sense? So that's an internal thing. And then Form 2 is, like I said, at the actual manufacturer level, not a dealer level or an importer. So, but yeah, 1 and 4. And so with the e-file, my recommendation, if you're gonna e-file, is to you can go over to Silencer Shop and you can find a kiosk. I installed quite a few of their kiosks around this part of Texas. I'll say quite a few, maybe a half dozen. But find a shop that has a kiosk, and then go there and do everything through that kiosk, and it all goes through Silencer Shop. When you pay for your stamp, you actually pay Silencer Shop, which is weird. You'll go through all the system, and they'll eventually send you an email and they say, hey, all your paperwork is ready. We just need the money for the stamp. And so it's like $5 extra, because I don't want to be misleading and say you e-filed is super quick and it doesn't cost, right? Super quick e-filing does cost because of the facilitation of that, right? So you're gonna have a $5 fee they're gonna tack on to the $200 you pay for the stamp, and then you've also got, and Silencer Shop is getting that, right? It's for them facilitating the e-file basically, and then you got another $30 on facilitation of the e-file paperwork. So potentially $35. But I mean, if you don't want to wait, then what's it, extra $35, I guess, right?
Do you know any other companies who are offering the same kind of service?
Nope.
It'd be interesting to find that out.
Yeah, what's weird is back when the Hearing Protection Act was, it was kind of the flavor of the day. People were talking about it. Silencer Shop, actually, I'm convinced Silencer Shop and several brands that Silencer Shop sort of carries and represents, or in bed sort of with the ATF, because in fact, I've got a podcast talking about the e-file system and all of that. Probably one of the very first podcasts I ever did, and how Silencer Shop, and I don't remember, it was Gemtech at the time, and a few different companies were working with the ATF to put the e-file system and everything in place. So and it's been that way ever since. And so they kind of have a monopoly on that type of thing. Now, that's not to say that you can't mail it in, go old school, and it still not be quick. Because it's not so much, I don't think it's so much the e-file as it is the fact of the way that Form 1s are treated, which is I don't know. It's really weird because you think somebody building their own SBR, SBS, suppressor, whatever, you think that there would be more scrutiny on that, right, from the ATF, rather than somebody who's transferring something that was commercially built, i.e. the Form 4. So it's interesting.
Definitely.
I appreciate you jumping in and answering the question, because I'm never afraid to ask a question. I've learned a long time ago that to ask questions, there's probably somebody else watching that doesn't know either. So I appreciate you just coming in and clarifying it for me, because I didn't know.
No, I mean, not a problem. I mean, it's important to it's important to know all this, because it can get crazy, right?
Yeah, like I say, it's confusing. Yeah, trying to untangle that FFL web, that'd be fun. That'd be fun to do too.
So, getting into FFL. So FFL1, think of that as the most common, because that's you're able to deal firearms, and then you've got gunsmithing, firearm repair, right? So most common, right? Just a gun shop, just the ability to buy and sell is type 1. So that one's easy to remember. As you start bumping up the ladder of FFLs, type 2 is basically the same as type 1, except for that's specifically for a pawn shop. Type 3 is your CNR. which a lot of people out there have. Type 6, because I don't believe there's a 4 or a 5, which is weird. Type 6 is ammunition. Type 7 is ammunition and firearms. Manufacturing, I should say. Type 6 is ammunition manufacturing alone. Type 7 is manufacturing ammunition and firearms, or I guess. Type 8 is an importer. Type 9 is destructive devices. Type 10, 8, let's see. 9 is destructive devices. 10 and 11 are, I don't know exactly, but they're extensions of destructive devices, right? So it's like you can also build armor-piercing ammo and then some other things. And then when you get to type 11, it's all of the above. It's like encompasses 9 and 10. And then I want to say you can also import. No, take that back. Type 11 is the importer of destructive devices or like armor piercing ammunition and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's again, it gets complicated. But I looked into it years ago. I'm still want to one day get an FFL and open a little shop and do some things, but one is most common.
What about CNR? Do you have a CNR?
The CNR is 3. I don't have a CNR. No.
Yeah, because it's like I hear a lot of people, sometimes the crosstalk is that they're like, no, CNR extra hassle is not worth it or whatever. And, I know, people are not as fond about mil-cert prices right now, but there's still a lot of stuff that you can, that you could have as it provides sent right to your door. So can you think of any disadvantages to CNR right now? Or is it all up?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't have any inclinations to get a CNR. If I'm going to do it, I mean, I want to do either a type 1 or a type 7, and probably a type 1, honestly, for me is plenty. A regular dealer. Part of that is the ability. I'm not restricted by age on a firearm, and I foresee there being issues moving forward. Because I mean, it's based on a time frame, right, with CNR. And so I foresee eventually more modern style. I mean, when you hear CNR, you think older mil-cert, older police surplus. A lot of it is foreign in nature, that sort of thing. As you get up into modern times, more modern firearms, I don't know how the CNR is going to play out, quite honestly, because you're almost getting into a situation to where at that point where a CNR could pretty much do the same thing as a type 1. But as with anything, when you're dealing with the ATF, they really stress intent, right? Intent is a major thing. And CNR has to do with being a collector, whereas a normal type 1 has to do with actually operating and being a business. So, if you had a type 3 and you were just constantly having stuff come on and go off the books, then that would be sort of a red flag, not like the legislation red flag, but that would send up a flag that says that maybe that person is conducting business, right, under a type 3. At that point, they really should have a type 1. So for me, not to get into that situation, to open up a more broad spectrum of, what I could just purchase and not have to worry about. And for me, one of the big things for me that I've seen over the years is the ability to get police auctions and stuff like that, or to buy lots that come out of the police academies around here, training academies and stuff. There's some awesome, they rotate out their training firearms, and there's some awesome opportunities to bid on stuff, but you have to be at least a type 1 for that. And my thinking was open a little shop, get a type 1, maybe buy, 3 or 4 auctions a year, keep what I want out of those lots, right, each time, and then sell the rest on Gunbroker or sell it locally or whatever. My biggest hang up is just basically I want to I would have to completely revamp the man cave to try to use it. And I really need to get in a situation where I've got enough money to buy another small portable building to actually do that out of, because it's best to have a dedicated space. There are some people that do it, kitchen table FFLs. You'll hear that term a lot. And I know guys that have walled off a section of their garage or whatever. But when you start getting into potentially zoning ordinances inside a city, when you start getting into insurance purposes and several other things, whatever, that kitchen table FFL, it's not very appealing to me either.
Most def. I got a friend who lives in suburban, in the suburbs here in Omaha, and his is a zoning consideration. He was willing to put in all the extra, interior structures for the safety and all those regs, but eventually it boiled down to the fact that it just was not zoned for like a dual purpose or something like that. He's not on the edge of that neighborhood enough. So he scrapped the plans, moved across the river, and he's the guy with that SOT now. So,
right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's none of that is an issue for me. I'm way out in the county. We're not, there's absolutely no ordinances or really anything that I have to worry about, thankfully.
And you got the room to roam. You've got the property to do it on. So that's cool.
Yes, correct.
Excellent. So what kind of safety concerns might you have about having putting a shop on your property?
As far as what safety concerns I would have?
Yeah, like extra security because of the stuff that you would have around.
So not really. I would definitely want a safe, or I would build some type of a room. You can put, good Lord, you can put different types of paneling, fence paneling and stuff like that in the walls to make it harder to get into. In a good, double deadbolt something door, just simply lock everything up, or invest in safes to lock stuff up in. If I was to do it here, I don't really have any highway frontage or anything like that, and to actually get to it, if I put it on my property, it would be kind of hard to get to, for somebody to try to sneak in to do anything. That's what I talk all the time when sometimes we get into this home defense situation and what your setup like and all of this. And one of mine is a really long, nasty to try to navigate, nasty from it's rough and stuff because it washes really bad, driveway. So it would be a situation, if I got an FFL, it would be a situation where those who were going to do business with me or come out would have to, not necessarily make an appointment, but I would kind of need to know they were coming, or they'd have to blow up, probably pull up and honk their horn or whatever. They definitely have to get some directions, most likely. So I'm in a way different situation than somebody that lives in town or something like that.
For sure.
So can we go back to the CNR license for a minute? Because in looking up 1639, because it's fucking terrible, there's a problem in Washington State because in 1639 they defined any semi-automatic rifle as an assault rifle, including 22s. If you get it shipped to your house, you're not doing, and it's semi-auto rifle, you're not doing the 10-day waiting period. So it's a gray area. Nobody's taken it to court yet, but that could. And Bob Ferguson, the guy that wrote 1639, is being the attorney general, is going to make that as broad as he can, right? So they're just bringing up an example of terrible gun laws that are like, I'd love to get a CNR. That'd be great. But am I going to fight the state on that? Nope.
How many semi-automatic 22s are? Well, I guess that applies to any semi-auto though, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
I got you. So that would a Garand or
anything.
There are quite a few older.
Yeah, a whole bunch of them. And so
you were saying 22, and I was trying to come up and think, how many people I know that have a CNR that have bought a semi-automatic 22 on it. But I mean, I'm sure it happens. But
it's just because in Washington State, 1639 requires the 10-day waiting period.
Right.
And they wrote it very broadly, because that's what they're going to do, of course. And There's
That's
a question
weird.
about
I mean,
how CNR works, but nobody's really challenged it yet. So that would be nice if we could get somebody to take them to court and say, "Wait a minute here," but that hasn't
well,
happened. So it's like a gray area.
but like a normal dealer is buying those and having those come in. But I guess because the CNR is linked more to an individual, that's where the
Right.
problem lies, right?
You're a collector. You're not going to sell it to anybody. So
Right.
do you need to wait? Nobody really knows. I'm saying it's a complete gray area, but
Yeah, that's messed up. Yeah, it's messed up.
So here's one of the things, and if I'm wrong, somebody please correct me. But since you have a CNR, you still are legally an FFL, and therefore the ATF can just drop in on you at any time and say, "Hey, we're going to check your books."
Right.
Which I don't like the idea of giving up my Fourth Amendment.
It depends a lot on where you're at, and the agents and other things. There's some kitchen table FFLs around here that have never once had an ATF agent come out other than the initial inspection. And they're like, I've never had anybody come and look through my stuff. So, and I'm not talking about CNRs. I'm talking about actual Type 1. They're all Type 1 FFLs, the ones I'm talking about. But yeah, they've never had that issue. You sort of have that clause as it pertains to NFA items as well. But again, I mean, unless there's some reason that you've been put onto their radar or something like that, right? Some other reason. In this area and in most places that I hear people talk about it, it's like the local folks, the local ATF people, they don't mess with them too much.
I'd like to welcome Honda to the chat.
How's it going?
Not too bad. Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, I saw you were live, and then I saw that there's a link in the chat, so I was like, I'll stop in and say hello.
Thank you.
I'm going to jump and listen to the rest of the show. I just wanted to jump in and try to clarify or help if I could. So I'll be listening. Keep rolling.
I appreciate it, Clover. Thank you.
Later.
Hey, Honda, I saw your text chat there that Colorado's got safe storage now.
Yeah, I think it's July 1st it goes into effect.
Yeah, in 1639, you have 48 hours to tell the cops about a stolen handgun. And if that stolen gun goes and commits a crime, you're guilty of a Class C felony.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Stolen. So what if you're on vacation? I'm not even around for a week. I don't even know. But
I'm not sure, man. Like I don't honestly, I don't want to get caught up with that. Like I've had guns stolen from me in the past, and I did call the cops, not because the law required me to, but because I wanted the people to be caught and didn't want my guns to be used in a bad thing. But now that there's a requirement, it's like now I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like you're telling me I have to, so now I don't want to. It's weird.
Yeah, exactly. But I have to laugh at G-Webs as one because it's true of Washington State too. Also, if you have your weed stolen, you have to call the weed department. That's funny.
Phones are going to be lit in Colorado.
Yeah, today's the big day in Colorado where all the celebrations happen.
Today's the big day across the country and the globe, bro. It's an international celebration. Let's not. We already been talking about lots of states doing specials, but so how did that go down in Colorado for you today?
I didn't do anything special.
Not your gig, eh? Right on.
I had to go to work because I'm a grown-up.
Yeah.
I'm just too old, man. Like I'm not trying to go up to like Boulder to hang out with a bunch of 20-year-olds. You know?
Nope. Yeah, the 20-year-old version of me would have 100% went there for sure.
Right.
But
Right.
the 50-year-old version of me, nah, that reeks of effort. I'm not doing any of that.
Yeah,
Well, it used to be like
the 40-year-old version of me is like, hell no.
Yeah. Then they're not.
Before all this, it was Earth Day back then. That was the thing that stood out so much. Yeah.
Isn't it also Hitler's birthday?
No, I don't know, man. I was just down for going picking up. I was down for picking up a free tree at the big park here in the middle of town.
And then it's also obviously Columbine happened on this day.
Gets worse.
And then there's also Oklahoma City, right? And then there's also Ruby Ridge.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a good day.
So, yeah. The government likes to do things on this day.
So going back to the weed thing, like 10 years ago, a guy I went to high school with decided he was going to organize like some sort of sit-in at the local town square, and everybody was just going to sit there and get high, and they all got arrested, which we told them was going to happen. They're like, no, they can't arrest all of us. Yeah, like 30 people got arrested.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, sometimes, like, you're not allowed to smoke weed in public in Colorado. Like, you can do it in the privacy of your own home, but there's no public place that's, like, sanctioned that you can smoke weed at, and you can't do it at a park or anything like that, right?
Same here.
But that being said, you go to a bar, you have a drink, you go outside to have a cigarette, there's people smoking a joint, like, almost every time. So no one really cares.
Yeah, it's not legal in Nebraska, but you're right about that. You go out on the terrace, you go out on the patios that are street side, and that happens now. It's crazy.
Yep.
But I mean, I don't see what the big deal is about weed. I mean, I can see like other drugs like cocaine or like heroin or meth or, you know, pick one. They all have major downsides. Even alcohol has more of a downside, in my opinion, than marijuana does. Like the next day you feel like crap. Like if you drink too much, you wake up the next day, you feel like crap. You smoke too much weed in one night, you wake up the next day, there's nothing. Sometimes you get a little cough, you know.
Hungry?
One of the dumbest things I've ever done. I was drunk when I did it, not when I was smoking weed.
Right.
Like wanted Doritos. That's about it.
Oh my God! Speaking of Doritos, do you know they brought back 3D Doritos?
What's a 3D Dorito? I thought they already were in 3 dimensions.
They're puffed up.
Oh,
It's pretty freaking
that
awesome.
secret dimension.
The bigger chip problem is if you go to Canada, you can get bacon and cheddar chips made by Ruffles, but they don't sell it here. I feel like we need to invade and take back the chips.
One of my favorites in the UK was a Lay's product. It was Thai shrimp, and they also had like shrimp and pork, like a sui mai. So it was like dim sum on a chip. That was great. But they also had ketchup chips. I don't know about that. Zesty Mordant dressed all over. Those Canadians.
Oh, so Waco ended yesterday. All right.
Well, there's something to celebrate then.
Well, after they burned the place down. And
yeah, that it was eventually over.
So my daughter was born on the 20-year anniversary of Waco ending. All right, great.
Moving on to the sunny side of the street. So guns, yeah, it's a real thing. It's a deal. We sometimes talk about them. Anybody new pistols? I geeked out on pistols today.
I will have a new one here soon. I got a shipment notification today that my AR upper pistol kit from Delta Team Tactical is on its way. So hopefully by the end of the week, I will be building that.
Nice, man. I really like Delta Team Tactical. They usually have a slightly lower price than you can find at Palmetto.
Yeah.
And I don't really see, like, maybe there's a quality difference, but I can't see what it is, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to try and look at it pretty hard when I get this one. If I like what I see, at least because I ordered it pre-built. I didn't order it pre-built and test fired because they wanted like $55 for that, and I'm like, I'm not giving you an extra $55 to put 3 rounds through it. If I've got to tune the gas system or any crap like that, I'll worry about it when I am at the range. But I'm going to see how it is built, and if I'm not happy with what they did, you know, say staking and stuff like that, it's garbage. I'll just, when I order the next one, I'll just build it myself.
Well, I had one kit from them, and I bought an upper from them, and both of them were 100% reliable. Like nothing wrong with them cosmetically. Like there was really nothing to write home about at all. Like they were great, and they were $20, $30, $40 cheaper than you could find at Palmetto.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be 11.5-inch barrel with 10.5-inch handguard, 5.56 upper with a complete lower parts kit, and the brace and everything. Got it for just over 500 after taxes and everything else, which, like you said, when you look at what's going on with PSA, they're cheaper for sure. Plus, I don't like PSA anymore. They can suck it.
The other one that
I have a gift card that I'll auction off.
The other one that I've gone to recently is Bear Creek Arsenal. I don't know if you guys have ever messed around with them, but again, there wasn't anything like bad that happened, but I wasn't as impressed. Like, and I know a couple of other people who've gotten the Bear Creek uppers, and when they have the aluminum handguards on them, they're like unnecessarily heavy. Like, I don't know what it is that they're using for their supplier or whatever, but that being said, you can get a complete upper with bolt carrier group there cheaper than you can anywhere else. So,
yeah, and I know a guy that had a Bear Creek upper, which I almost bought it from him, but at the time I just didn't have the cash, and it was 7.62 by 39, which I have no problem with 7.62 by 39, but 7.62 by 39 in a AR platform just sounds like sacrilege to me, which is another reason I didn't purchase it from him. But he was really happy with that while he had it.
dude, have you seen how much AKs are going for now? It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. I actually messaged my local FFL where I buy 99% of my guns at. And I was like, hey, so remember that AK I just bought off you? It was a Visca. Got it for just over $650. I think it was $700 total after taxes. And which is right now a great price. And I literally, the day after I bought it, the local shop that is actually like 3 miles from my house, which I don't frequent, not a super big fan of them, put the exact same Visca model and everything up on their website. And I contacted them just to see how much it was. They're like, oh yeah, we're selling it for $950. And so I sent it to my regular dealer, and I was like, hey, so so-and-so had this. He's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, they tried to sell it for $300 more than I bought it from you. I was like, this is why I always go to you. This is why I always tell people, go check you out. And I was like, keep your prices like you have been, and I'll keep throwing money at you.
Visca's on Gunbroker are going for $1,200 right now.
If I could find a better AK, I would sell it in a second.
I really like my Yugo. I've got an NPAP. That was actually the first rifle I ever bought was an NPAP.
What year was that?
Oh, God. I don't even remember, man. It's been 12, 14 years, something like that.
So it was throwdown money on it.
Yeah, it was like $470, $480. It was like $500 out the door when I got it, and I was like, God, that's an expensive AK. Because I remember hearing about him for like $350, not too long before that. So I was thinking like $500 I got ripped off. But now it's like $1,200.
Right.
It'll be like Bitcoin soon.
Yeah, Bitcoin took a dump, or at least shed a whole bunch of percentage points. End of last week or something like that? That stuff is weird. Cryptocurrency is just... I am totally not ready for that yet. I'm letting everybody else do the toe dipping.
I'm interested in this Dogecoin stuff, but I don't have the slightest idea on where to even go to start investing in it.
Robinhood's a good place to do it on your phone anyway.
Yeah.
Is that like day trading?
Yeah, pretty
for
much.
Crypto? Right on. Yeah. That's cool.
I like it when they stuck it to that one guy and cost him $1 billion. Literally $1 billion. Loved it. That was amazing. All the kids got together and were like, no, we're going to save GameStop. Piss on him. Go America.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin was at $64,000 like a week ago, and now it's at 55. So you could say it took a dump, but it went down $8,000 out of $64,000. You know, it's not like, and I'm sure it'll go right back up. And honestly,
Right.
I've heard tons of predictions that by the end of the year, Bitcoin's going to be $100,000. So
Sure. Well, prediction right now, we're not even mid-year yet. We're just, we're entering the second quarter, and I'm not going to be able to put that on a fiscal calendar. But you got the calculator, man. You tell me. That sounds like more than 2-3% drop. Anything else takes a precipitous drop like that on the regular stock market, and you got people screaming.
It's true.
So, yeah. Hopefully, nobody has to take a really severe bath, unless it's at the expense of some video gamers.
Well, I mean, if you go back to like the early days of Bitcoin, it'd be like you go to your dad and be like, "Hey, Dad, can I have $500 for a Bitcoin? They're only $400 right now. I just need $1,500 for one Bitcoin that's only worth $700." Because that was like in one sentence, the price would go around like that.
Right.
So it's a lot more stable now than it used to be it still fairly volatile compared to other things. God, even NPAPs are going for $12.50. Holy cow. That's insane, dude.
I bought one of those little Black Aces Mini, the little 10-inch ones, with the pistol grip, just because I wanted the ATF to fuck off. And I go into my FFL the other day, and he sold the exact same rifle, $1,100. I spent it. I bought it for $480. So I had that little like come to Jesus moment, like, do I want to sell it? But I can never buy that gun again. I just decided I don't want the ATF to fuck off, so I'm going to keep it.
Yeah, and you're a big fan of the Mossberg 500s, right? And like Mavericks, you used to be able to pick those up. But they're not dime a dozen, right? It's more than a dime. But you have to.
They were four. I saw one for $445, and then another one for $499. That's a $200 gun. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Ridic Bic. And on those 500s, I can remember when the first big runs were going and stuff. A couple of friends and I were looking them up, and they went 500% like overnight, just bam. Right. Yeah, it's crazy. Volatile situations like that, man. It's hard to run. It's hard to have an average collection and know which way to jump.
Well,
that's the thing, though, is like when something's volatile like that, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, it goes down, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes up. Like the people who sell it when it goes down, you're making a huge mistake, I think. As long as you believe that it's still going to come back up at some point, like that's the only way you lose money is when you like give up and sell it low,
Yeah, but some people walk onto a car at a car dealership and they buy a new car and they watch it just dump 20 points as soon as they hit the street. Some people are just built that way. They either don't care or like you say, they don't know. It's just bad practice.
Some people take their family out to Dave & Buster's for dinner and spend $300 and then wonder why rent hard to pay at the end of the month. Yeah. I mean, people are fucking dumb. I don't know. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't
think it's smart on here. It's cool.
Or an unreasonable implication there. I mean, I worked at one of my first jobs was in food service, and we happened to run at the first of the month. What drops at the first of the month? And in my neighborhood, it was a burger joint where it was $3 for $1, $3 for $1 cheeseburgers, $4 for $1 hamburgers. These weren't White Castles. These were like McDonald's sized burgers, right? But at that price, people would come in, after they get their checks, they come in, they dump a couple of $100 on burgers, walk out with them, wheelbarrows full of the things, and chuck them in the freezer. It sort of
they look like Wimpy from Popeye.
For real. They will gladly pay you next month for the hamburgers today, man.
Is that inner city prepping? Is that what that is?
Yeah, there you go. That's not bad. That's a good riff on that. Absolutely. It was Midtown Omaha in the 80s. It's a transitional neighborhood, but it was a local chain. And that's just the way they found that they were able to survive in that niche, right in those neighborhoods. They only had 3 locations,
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
you can tell around my place when the welfare checks and the disability checks hit. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, well, if you got to leverage heavy at the beginning of the month, I guess the kids want a burger on day 27. They need G.I. Joe with a Kung Fu grip. Better invest in those pork bellies.
Pork belly is friggin' amazing. First off, that's where you get your bacon from. But then I can do other things with a whole pork belly, like pork belly burn ends and things like that. Yeah, wonderful
I'm
things to be done
hungry
with pork belly.
barbecue. Pork belly burnt ends. I didn't even know that was a thing, man. That
You
sounds.
You
Oh
read
my
that,
god.
the pho that has pork belly in it?
The what?
PHO faux
Yeah.
pho. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my
Couple
god!
of great
I forget
places
what
here
it's
in town.
called. There's like a certain dish, and it has like all the meats. But like they give you like a big ass chunk of like salted pork belly.
Yeah, the base is a pork broth for pho, and yeah, a lot of great places in town they're doing. I'm glad that revolution came through. You know, I was kind of getting tired of the usual offerings.
Oh, pho is delicious.
For real, man. And now over at the casino, like what used to be Dog Track, they're now Riverboat casinos. They actually put in pho bars, so you can just go and have noodles, and it's 24-hour. That's the super bonus about it.
Well, and what's also good about it, like you can find the right place. It's pretty cheap too.
Indeed, it is.
It's not like an expensive meal, but it's like healthy and filling and delicious, and yeah.
Half the price of a bowl of chili that's 4 times as big as that. You know, you're belly full and yeah, carb loaded for sure.
Yesterday's Palme got a hell of a deal.
Yeah, what year was that?
What year was what?
When he got that deal.
What deal?
Got an M92 PAP for $469 with 5 mags and a soft.
2010.
Yeah, that was a bit ago, wasn't it? Yeah, I think about that, right? 2010, something like that. 2008 to maybe 11.
I don't like the underfolders for AKs, man. There's like no comfortable way to hold it. The shoulder stock isn't comfortable. The cheek weld isn't the correct height. Like, yeah, and they weigh a lot. And yep, like, yeah, they make your gun shorter, but I'd rather have if I wanted that, I'd just go with the folding Zukov stock.
Palme said it's been a few years. Yeah, like when I got that Visca, as soon as I saw the price on it, I was like, yep, I've got to buy this right now.
When was that?
Beginning of this month.
No crap. Yeah, that's a good deal.
Yeah. That's one thing I do like about my LGS that I go to is his prices have remained very steady over this whole thing. If he doesn't have to raise prices, he doesn't. And it's funny because I've seen people go in there and try and haggle with him, and he's like, nope, not happening. And like, oh, well, you know, it's only, he's like, I mark it at what I've got to get for it. And the thing is, when you do go look at his prices, like, I mean, like I just said, that Visca was $650 on the shelf, and the shop 7 miles away from him, which, like I said, I mean, it's in my backyard, and I still choose to go to him rather than that one. $300 more.
Well, and online, it's $300 more than that.
Yeah.
And the cheapest one that you can find online, as far as I can tell, is the AK that Palmetto sometimes has in stock that they sell for like $800.
Yep. Like, I'd like to get that one just because, but at the same time, I'm like, Palmetto can fuck themselves.
Why do you say that?
He's got a whole video series on that.
Yeah, I'm not happy with their customer service. I had ordered some stuff at Christmas, and I didn't get all my stuff, and they basically told me to pound sand. I'll tell you more in the after chat. Don't want to bore everybody here. Chances are half of them probably already saw the videos, and the other half are like, yeah, we don't give a shit.
I care, but it is old news. For barbecue fans, it was a while ago.
But yeah, I'll definitely catch you up in the after chat if you're going to be around. We're probably going to shut her down here in about 5 minutes or so because we'll hit the 2-hour mark, and we've only got 8 people or so watching anyways. and text chat slowing down. So
So you were asking about pistols that we got recently. What were our recent pistol purchases?
For sure.
I got the Heritage Rough Rider Barkeep a couple, like 2 weeks ago.
absolutely love that gun. Oh my god, it's so fun.
I haven't shot it yet. I've played with it, but I haven't shot it yet.
You definitely need to, as soon as you have the chance, get it out to the range.
Just
And that thing miserps for like $180 or something. Like, what did you have to throw down for yours?
I think I paid $160 for the gun, but then it was like $25 for shipping, and then another like $30 for the FFL. So it was like $200 out the door.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for what it is and for how much fun you can have with that thing and how cool it is, like a little snub nose 22 revolver, it's just cool. It's a cool little gun.
I think what I like most about it is that snub nose on it. It balances really well.
It does. And it flips around in your hand like, yeah, you feel like a cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It reminds me of why I liked guns in the first place, which was like the fun of the guns. It wasn't about like war or like self-protection or like anti-government. It was, I want to shoot that can over there. And like this thing is fun to shoot.
Yep. Yeah, I've shot so many guns over the years where I'm like, all right, I put 50 rounds down range. Cool. This was fun. I can go do something else. It's very rare that I get to shoot a firearm anymore where I'm like, man, this is a blast. I don't want to stop. And I've actually made 2 purchases this year so far where I've had that experience. And the first one was my Bullpup 12 gauge. And then that's Barkeep from Heritage. Both of them, just, I did not want to stop shooting those.
I also want to get that Rossi pump action 22.
Yeah.
That gallery gun? That thing looks cool.
Gun. That one looks super cool, and that reminds me of the first gun that I ever shot, which was a 20. It was an old one. I don't even know what it was, to be honest, because I didn't know anything about guns at that time to like look at it and figure out what it was. But it was one of those really old, like 1930s, 1940s 22 pump action rifles, like tube magazine fed, all that, you know. And yeah, like they're expensive. If you go look at one of those, like if I try to get one that was like actually might have been that kind of gun, they're like $600-800, sometimes $1,000 for a little 22. But the Rossi gallery gun, I think they go for 2 or 3. I forget what they are exactly.
I think it's 3. It's not bad at all. But at the same time, it's a Rossi. But it's a 22, so you shouldn't have to worry too much.
Yeah, Rossi.
Yeah, you're talking about a volatile market. You know, if you're going to play to the strengths, you know, that we have and the advantages that we have in a volatile market, 22, that dings a bell. You know, under $200, that dings a bell. You know, it's like availability, that dings a bell. You know, so if you're having trouble picking up that new Wonder 9 or, you know, wanting to go deep into a Dan Brown or something like that, drop off in, you know, $300 territory and you can have fun for the next year.
Oh,
well, I really like my Rossi little lever gun. It's got some finish things to it, but it works great.
I've got a Rossi lever gun and it works great. And I had a Rossi revolver and that thing worked great. There was no problems with it.
My 2 favorite 44 special revolvers are Rossi Model 720s.
My newest gun is the PC9 Charger. And
nice.
And it's funny because when fucking Biden was talking about fucking pistol braces, is the same day I got the gun out of the fucking 10 Days of Tyranny. And I got my pistol brace in the mail. My little one from, what's the box? My SB Tactical, the triangle one. So it was kind of nice to get that gun and get the brace and put it all together and be like, fuck you, Biden.
Dude, I like the way that SIG does it. They just put like a little piece of Picatinny rail at the back of the guns. And
that's what the PC Charger did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great little gun. I love it. because I have 2 other PC9 chargers. So, Zombie Apocalypse, I've got 3 guns that take Glock mags, and I've got a crap ton of fun sticks. So,
I also got a AR-15 with one of those KE arms lowers, but I don't know how I feel about it. It's like,
what's not to feel about a KE arms lower? I have not a clue what they are. Where are they out of?
I forget where they're made, but it's a plastic lower. So it's the one that Forgotten Weapons was like, this is the, like, what would Stoner do build? Like, that's the lower that they used. Because it's like a monolithic lower, and like you can't swap out the buttstock on it or anything. It's just like solid mounted or whatever you call it, non-adjustable length of pull. And it's built so that it's solid and won't, like break. Whereas a normal polymer lower that's just built to the same external dimensions as a aluminum one would, this one's reinforced so it won't. So it's like supposedly like really good or whatever is what people keep saying. I just don't like the feel of it, dude. When you run the action on it, it feels plasticky. It feels like it wants to get caught on something. When you run it all the way back, sometimes like it hesitates for a second. It's just weird. I don't like it.
Yeah, I've never shot one, but because I've only handled a poly lower, and it just didn't make sense in my hand at all. I can relate to what you're saying. This is like, whoa, this isn't even Nerf gun weight. This is strange.
No, I mean, I had a polymer lower before, and there was no problems with it, and I sold it and bought something else at some point. It was one of those, what was it, out of Las Vegas, New Frontier Armory. But people have talked trash on them all day, and I guess they've had problems with breaking and doing all kinds of stuff.
It's plastic. Who's not going to have problems with that eventually?
Right.
Overpressure loads, when we're now shooting back, low pressure factory ammunition for sure. Someone's going to push it, and they should. Make it better.
Alrighty, guys. Not to cut this short, but I think we're boring people. We're down to 6 now. So we're just going to run through and get closing plugs from people, and we'll be back at it Thursday. DJ.
Be safe, stay warm, have fun, carry your guns, rock.
Woods, anything?
Check out E-Honda's show. He's a good dude. I remember when he first joined, and look at him in balling now. Fucking congratulations, man. You're fucking making it happen. I like it.
Yeah,
I remember
awesome.
sitting there chatting with you guys way back in the day. So you're doing great, man.
Thanks, man.
Honda, any plugs?
Just happy E-Honda 420. Thanks, man. I do appreciate what you do there, Mr. Guns and Barbecue. I wish that you would hop on my chats more. I like what you have to say. Good sir.
No, I appreciate it. Let's say half the time on the Saturday ones, it just seems like I've been so busy lately, I end up falling asleep before your chat starts, which I'm like, crap. Like, there's been a couple times where I go to get on your chat, and I jump on, you're like, yeah, we just ended. I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. And then the Sunday chats, the Gay Frog chat, I normally have my kids, and they're running around making a bunch of noise, so it's tough with that one. But no, I would love to get onto your chats more often. I say it's always a good time there.
Yeah, you're good, man. I understand. I mean, life is what it is. But
Yeah. The big problem is the 2-year-old. He just likes to scream for no reason.
It doesn't get much better when they're like 15, because they like to like hit their computer and yell for no good reason, because they're playing Fortnite and someone just like no-scoped them or something.
Alrighty. Well, I dropped the link out there in the chat one last time. If anybody would like to jump in, we'll probably be BSing over here in the after chat for a little bit, like we normally do. That can last 10 minutes. It can last until, many hours later. So, like I said, if you want to click that link, jump in the after chat, have at it. Until next time, we will catch you on Thursday at 11 p.m. I'm also going to be going live on Saturday at 8:30 Eastern time with my first general chat just about guns, barbecue, what my channel's about, where it's going to be more of an open discussion. We really go into a lot of different things and just let it flow instead of trying to keep it strictly guns and 2A like we try to do here. Also, I do have that giveaway coming up. I will be doing that giveaway on Saturday. That will be for the Kalashnikov book from Gear Websites, the AKM PVC patch from Gear Websites, and the AK-47 identification deck from Gear Websites. So if you want to get those and you just cannot wait, go over to gearwebsites.com and purchase those awesome items. If you want to try and win them, then go over and check out the video that I made about doing that giveaway and just comment on it saying, hey, I want in, and that will get you an entry. I think I've got like 11 entries so far. So then, like I said, on Saturday's show, I'll use a randomizer, and if I can figure it out, that is, and draw the number that way. So check that out, and I might come up with another giveaway for Saturday. I don't know yet. That'll be like a bonus thing that I wing on Saturday if we do. So I'd like to thank everybody that jumped on the show tonight. DJ, P&W Woods, Clover, Honda, Ozark was in here a little earlier. Check all these folks out. They're great people. Thank you for everybody commenting on the text chat, helping keep this chat going for 2 hours. And like I said, we'll catch you Thursday at 11 p.m.